What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some J-drama score, and we're back with one I have not done a watch-along for on my Patreon, but which is fantastic, hilarious, awesome. I probably won't ever do a public watch-along of it just because there's some issues with the subtitles in the box set I have, which is to say the first couple episodes are great, episode 3 still pretty good, but the time you get to episode 4, it just gets into that like weird translation, which I think is a product of some of the people who worked on it translating the kanji or the words into Chinese and then into English, so there's a bit of the like telephone distortion, and also because just the grammar in some of the sentences is very like inverted or otherwise difficult to get a sense of. Now that being said, at no point is it unclear what's happening. Your brain has to learn to decode the like B or even C level subtitles after the first few episodes. Nevertheless, it's a hilarious show. It stars two of my favorite actors in J-drama, which is to say Tamaki Hiroshi, most famously for me, Chiaki in the Norame Cantabile series, as well as Gouriki Ayame, who's in so many shows that I enjoy. It's hard to list them all, but Future Diary, Angels and Demons, Kurikochi, she's all over the place. And this one is so hilarious, and it's actually a show that it would be wise to watch a lot of J-drama other shows before you see it, because there's a lot of meta references. There's a lot of like in jokes and quotes that come from other shows, including Kurikochi, which also stars Gouriki Ayame as well as the incomparable Nagase Tomoya. But yes, it's a show that's very clever, and even the episodes themselves, it's like silly. Now it's a detective show with some clever reasoning and some interesting like case reveals by the end of the episodes. I think it's a very compelling show just on a detective level, but the whole thing is saturated with ridiculous comedy, most notably because Gouriki Ayame's character, who's a landlord despite being a college-age student who's, a bit naive in many ways, but she's very into mystery novels and detective stories, and she really wants real life to be this dramatic and exciting detective story, even though a lot of cases are a bit more mundane or unpleasant and so on, whereas Tamaki Hiroshi's character is a private detective, but he's really in it for the money, so in that regard it's not terribly different in that one respect from Akitagami Kyoko's Memorandum, but he typically prefers like finding rich people's dogs for rewards, or checking for affairs, when someone hires a private detective to see if their partner's cheating on them, because those tend to pay well, whereas he says like murder cases, they don't really end up paying well, often because the police have to get involved and no, like people want to bury that information. So he hates taking murder cases, even though those are the flashiest and the most exciting as far as Gouriki Ayame's character is concerned. So there's this constant dynamic where Gouriki Ayame's character allows Tamaki Hiroshi to stay in one of his buildings for an incredibly depressed price, but only on the condition that he takes her along on his cases, and specifically she starts influencing his cases and telling him like, oh, don't take this lost dog case, that's not exciting, you want to take this murder case, right? So there's a character clash, even though as the show goes along there's a bit of banter and even a suggestion by the end of the show that maybe Tamaki Hiroshi's character is secretly attracted to Gouriki Ayame's character. But yeah, it's just comedy every episode. There's lots of meta references, and the cases themselves are very funny. We're going to listen to the opening track on the soundtrack. I think it's from 2013? Maybe it's 2014. But we're going to listen to the opening track, which is basically given the same title. Now, here on the box set, the title of the show is translated into English as The Private Detective That I Don't Like. The translation of the track on the soundtrack, the opening tune is The Private Detective I Dislike. So essentially the same thing, just slightly different wording, but the same meaning. Let's hear it. This is The Private Detective I Dislike from the soundtrack for The Private Detective I Don't Like, I think from 2014. And the composer of the show, there's two listed on the drama website I use, and in this case, I don't know, does it give an indication? Oh, it does. So this track is composed by Masahiro Toruka, or probably Toruka Masahiro, There are other tunes on the soundtrack composed by Mayuko, the mononymic Mayuko, but this one is done by Tokuda Masahiro. So here we go, The Private Detective That I Don't Like, and the track is The Private Detective I Dislike by Tokuda Masahiro. A bit of that like big band jazz feel. Also maybe like a bit of like a 60s throwback feel too. We got brass keyboards, a big stand-up bass. I think there's some woodwinds in there. Almost a bit of an improvisational jazz feel. About to say, I think we heard guitars here too. It's brilliant. Like, in one way, I think it does convey the tone of the show in that, like, it's a bit larger than life, it's a bit zany, it's a bit free-flowing, it's almost like it's, like, winking at you, it knows it's taking itself a little bit seriously, and yet it's still a really dynamic and excellent multi-instrument production. Again, we hear strings, we hear woodwinds, we hear brass, we hear really dynamic cycling drums. I think a xylophone at one point. We hear a great guitar, which had a jazzy, bluesy type of feel. And the way it just keeps evolving and then has that, as I said, a bit of a like throwback 60s spy or detective show type of feel to it. It's awesome. It's absolutely fantastic. So again, the show is like hilarious and a bit silly at times, but still also with some dramatic moments and really cool detective reveals. There's even a couple points in the later episodes where it gets a little bit emotional, never like too seriously, but I'm thinking of the end of one episode in particular where this sympathetic old man passed away, and the the case was about trying to figure out what happened to him, as well as some other things that were going on in the same town. And there's a part where they're removing his body. They finally find what happened to him, and the score gets a little dramatic and emotional. So there's some variety in the score, even if the show overall is all comedy based. So yeah, we'll go through more of this. It's definitely a show worth talking about. Do let me know what you think of the track, and I will see you next time. Peace.